Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's story is one of the most intense and emotional ones I've ever shared. Imagine finding out your wife's sister, who everyone believed dead, is actually alive, hiding from a dark family secret. In this video, I'm going to take you through the whole saga, step by step. Was I the asshole for telling her the truth? Stick around and decide for yourself. AITA for telling my wife the truth about her dead sister? I never thought I'd be the kind of person to spill a secret like this, the kind that tears through a family like a wrecking ball. But last night I did. I told my wife something I was never supposed to tell anyone. Something that could destroy her relationship with her mom. Something that could destroy our relationship. And now I'm wondering if I'm the asshole, or if I've just been one for too long without realizing it. My wife, Katie, lost her sister Emily when they were teenagers. The official story was a car crash. Emily was 17. Katie was 15. Closed casket funeral. No one talked about it after. Not even once. Katie's mom, Sandra, became colder than ice. Any mention of Emily was strictly off limits. No photos. No stories. Katie used to tell me she sometimes wondered if her mom had even loved Emily. That's how dead the subject was in their house. I met Katie in college. We've been together 12 years, married 7. I always knew Emily's death left a hole in her, but I also knew better than to ask questions. It was sacred ground. That changed 5 years ago. I saw Emily, alive. Let me back up. 5 years ago, I had a work trip to Portland. I was there for a tech conference, super boring, lots of coffee and awkward small talk. I had a free evening, so I decided to grab dinner at this hole-in-the-wall Korean place a friend had recommended. About halfway through my meal, I glanced up from my phone and froze. There was a waitress walking toward a table near mine. She looked exactly like Katie. Same green eyes, same smile, same laugh. I know that sounds cliché, but it hit me like a punch to the chest. I couldn't stop staring. I even texted Katie, "There's a girl here who could be your twin. It's freaking me out." She sent back a laughing emoji and said, "Maybe I have a long-lost cousin." I laughed too, but it wasn't funny, because when I looked at her name tag, it said Emily. I felt like I was going to throw up. My first instinct was that I was wrong, that it was a coincidence, that my mind was playing tricks on me because I knew Katie had a sister named Emily who died. But then the girl turned and spoke to a coworker. Her voice was exactly like Katie's when she's excited or nervous. Same inflections, same energy. And then I heard her say, "My mom would kill me if she knew I was still using that name." I sat there for 20 minutes, barely touching my food, trying to decide if I was hallucinating. Eventually, I left, but I came back the next night, and the next. On the third night, she served my table. Up close, there was no way this was just a look-alike. Maybe a few years older than Katie, but otherwise, identical. So I asked her, "Sorry if this is weird, but is your name really Emily?" She paused. Her smile didn't drop, but it changed, tightened. "No, just a name I use at work." She walked off before I could ask anything else. I didn't sleep that night, couldn't let it go. The next morning, I skipped the last session of my conference and sat in my rental car in front of the restaurant for over an hour. I wasn't even sure what I was waiting for. I just knew I had to talk to her again. Alone. Calmly. Like a normal person. Not a stalker. Not a crazy man seeing ghosts. Around 10:30 a.m. She walked out the side door in street clothes, hair up in a messy bun, sunglasses on, carrying a tote bag. I got out of the car without thinking. "Emily?" I said, maybe too loudly. She turned. Her body stiffened like a deer in headlights. "I don't know you," she said instantly. Voice sharp. No hesitation. Defensive. "I'm not trying to scare you," I said, holding my hands up. "My name is Jason. I'm married to Katie. Katie Reynolds. From Iowa. Your sister." She didn't say anything. Just stared at me like I'd spoken a language she didn't understand. Then she said, "No, you have the wrong person." And she walked away, but I saw the flicker in her eyes. Recognition, guilt, fear. I didn't follow her. I'm not that guy. I let her go. But I spent the rest of that day spiraling. I checked every social media platform, searched old yearbooks, even found Katie's senior photo album in our Dropbox, compared it to the woman I'd just seen. No doubt, it was her. So the question wasn't, did Emily fake her death? It was, why the hell would her entire family pretend she was dead? And, should I tell Katie? I didn't. Not then. I told myself I needed more information first. I justified the silence. But now, years later, after what I said last night, I'm not so sure I ever had the right to keep that from her. After I got home from Portland, I couldn't look at my wife the same way. Every time Katie laughed or told a story about her childhood, I thought of the girl in that restaurant, her sister, alive and lying. But instead of telling Katie, I did something I'm not proud of. I started digging. I searched the restaurant's business license. The manager's name led me to a staff roster. There it was, Emily S. No last name listed. But I had a friend in Portland who owed me a favor. I asked him to casually drop by the place, chat with the waitstaff, and see what he could learn. He called me later that week. So, your waitress? Emily Simmons. She's been working there for 3 years. Real quiet, doesn't party. Lives alone in a rental house on the east side. No social media, barely uses her phone. Like weirdly off the grid. Any family? I asked. Nope, doesn't talk about them. One of the other waitresses said she once called her mom the devil in lipstick. That line hit me hard. Because Katie always said her mom, Sandra, was obsessed with appearances. Perfect house, perfect reputation, perfect kids. And when Emily died, Sandra went full step forward. Like her grief was choreographed. I started to think, maybe Emily didn't die. Maybe she ran. I found the old police report. It was thin. 1 page. No details. Single vehicle accident. Presumed fatal. No remains recovered. Presumed. That word stood out. I pulled Katie's old yearbooks from storage. Emily's senior yearbook photo? Missing. Like she'd been erased. I confronted Sandra once, just to test the waters. Was it hard losing Emily? She gave me a cold smile and said, what a strange question to ask at brunch. That was 5 years ago, and I stayed silent. Until last night, when Katie said something she never had before. And I broke. Last night started out normal. We were watching TV, half scrolling on our phones, when Katie got a call from her mom. I only caught half the conversation, but from the tone, I could tell Sandra was being, well, Sandra. When Katie hung up, she looked tense. What now? I asked. She's mad I'm not flying out for her birthday. Says I'm selfish. Again. I sighed. You know how she is. Katie didn't say anything for a second. Then she whispered, I think I hate her sometimes. That hit me harder than I expected. Katie's always defended her mom, even when she shouldn't. But now, there was something in her voice. Not anger. Pain. I think she ruined everything, she added. After Emily died, she changed. And not just her. All of us. There's just this silence in the family now. Like we all agreed not to breathe too loud. I looked at her, heart pounding. What if Emily didn't die? I said. Silence. Katie blinked. Like she hadn't heard me right. What? I swallowed hard. What if she ran away? Or left? What if your mom lied to you? Jason. What the hell are you talking about? Couldn't stop. The dam had broken. 5 years ago in Portland, I saw her. She works at a restaurant. Her name tag said Emily. She looks just like you. A little older, but unmistakable. I talked to her. She denied everything, but Katie. It was her. I'm sure of it. Her face went white. She didn't even breathe. You're joking, she said finally. You think this is funny? No, I said quietly. I've known for years. I didn't tell you because I didn't know how. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You knew my sister was alive and you kept it from me? And that's when she screamed. I'd never heard that sound come out of her before. Not anger. Not fear. Betrayal. She locked herself in our bedroom. I slept on the couch. I don't know what she's going to do, but I think I just blew up her entire world. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her scream again. Around 4 a.m., I knocked softly on the bedroom door. No answer. I whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I was protecting you." Still silence. She didn't come out until late the next morning. Her face was blank. Red eyes, no makeup. She didn't say anything to me at first, just walked into the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and stood there holding it like she didn't know what to do with it. Finally, she looked at me and said, "Take me to her." I was stunned. "Katie, I don't even know if she still works there. It's been years." "I don't care. You saw her. You talked to her. You kept that from me for 5 years. You owe me." She was right, so I booked 2 tickets to Portland for the next morning. She didn't speak to me the rest of the day, just packed in silence. Mechanical, cold. But beneath it, I could feel something brewing, something huge. Rage? Hope? Grief? Couldn't tell. That night, I found her sitting alone in the dark in the living room, holding an old Polaroid of her and Emily as kids. I hadn't seen that picture in years. I didn't even know she still had it. "I always wondered," she whispered, "why they never let me see the body, why they rushed the funeral, why Mom refused to talk about it. I used to think, maybe Emily killed herself, and they were covering it up." She looked up at me. "But you saw her, alive." I nodded. "Then what the hell happened to my sister?" The flight to Portland was quiet. Katie didn't say a word the entire time. She sat by the window with her headphones in, staring at the clouds like she was trying to hold herself together molecule by molecule. I didn't push. I just let her sit with it. When we landed, I rented a car and drove us straight to the restaurant, the same one I'd been to 5 years ago. It was still there. Same building. Same name. Same chalkboard sign out front that read, "Kimchi and Karaoke Night, Fridays 9 p.m. Katie just stared at it, frozen. "Are you sure this is it?" she asked quietly. "Yeah." We walked in. A waitress greeted us, not Emily. Different girl. Maybe newer staff. She led us to a table, handed us menus, and walked away. Katie looked around, scanning every face, every corner. No sign of her sister. Then she turned to me. "You said you saw her here, working. Are you sure?" "Positive." I stood up. "I'll ask the manager." Katie didn't stop me. The manager was a short, tired-looking guy in his 40s. Friendly but cautious. "Hey," I said. "We're looking for someone who used to work here. Emily Simmons. She was a server here about 5 years ago?" He frowned. "Emily?" Then recognition hit. "Oh, yeah, Emily. She left a while back. Quiet girl. No drama, never gave us any issues." "Do you know where she went?" He hesitated. "She didn't really say. I think she moved. Someone said she was headed upstate. But, listen, man, she didn't want to be found. Told us if anyone ever came asking, especially family, not to tell them anything." "Why?" He shrugged. "Said her mom would ruin her life again if she ever got close." I felt a chill go down my spine. When I got back to the table and told Katie what he said, she didn't cry. She didn't blink. She just whispered, "She's still running." Then she stood up and walked out of the restaurant. Katie didn't talk to me for hours after we left the restaurant. We just drove. Through downtown, past neighborhoods, through hills and gray skies and endless rain. At one point I asked where we were going, and she just said, "Anywhere but back." Eventually, we pulled into the parking lot of a little motel. She didn't ask, just got out and walked toward the front office. I followed. Once we were inside the room, she finally turned to me. "I need your help. Anything," I said, and I meant it. She pulled out her laptop and opened an old Gmail account she hadn't used in years. "Emily and I used to talk here. Secretly. Mom didn't let her have a phone." Sure enough, once she got in, there were dozens of messages. The last one was dated May 3rd, 2007, 2 weeks before Emily died. Katie clicked it. It read, "Katie, don't believe anything Mom says after this. I'm not doing this because I hate you. I love you. But I can't stay in that house another day. I have to disappear. Please don't try to find me. Please be safe. Katie's hands were shaking. She knew something was going to happen, she said. This wasn't random. She planned it. Then she pulled out her phone and called someone I never thought she'd call voluntarily. Her mother. Mom, Katie said. What happened to Emily? I could hear Sandra's voice on speaker, cool and polished as ever. Katie, why on earth would you ask me that? Because I know she didn't die, and I know you knew that. There was a pause, then a sharp, clipped response. You've been speaking to him, haven't you? Me. Sandra went quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. I warned Emily that if she ever came back, I'd finish what I started. There was a silence after Sandra said those words. Not the kind of silence that hangs in the air, the kind that suffocates it. Katie stared at the phone like it had just turned into a weapon. What did you just say? She whispered. Sandra's voice sharpened. You need to stop digging. Let sleeping dogs lie, Catherine. You're threatening your own daughter, Katie said. Again. I did what I had to do. Emily was unstable. She was tearing this family apart. I protected us. I protected you. Katie's hand was shaking now, but her voice was steady. You're going to tell me the truth, or I swear to God. Mom, I'll go public. I'll go to the police. I'll burn whatever fake legacy you think you're still protecting. A long, bitter pause. Then Sandra spoke again, slower this time, controlled. Emily was always difficult, rebellious, wild. She had no respect for rules. She accused your father of things, disgusting lies. She tried to break this family in half. And when I found out she was planning to go to the police, I told her. She stopped herself. Told her what? Katie asked. Another pause. I told her that if she opened her mouth, she'd regret it for the rest of her life. So she left. She disappeared. I let her. Katie ended the call. Then she dropped the phone and ran to the bathroom, and I could hear her throwing up. Because now we knew. Emily didn't die. Emily escaped. She had tried to report something horrible. Their father. And Sandra had covered it up. Pressured her to vanish. Maybe even helped fake the accident to keep it quiet. I sat on the floor outside the bathroom door. I'm sorry, I said. I should have told you when I found her. I was scared. Katie's voice came through the door, barely audible. She was trying to protect me. She took the hit, so I could stay. After that call, Katie was different. She wasn't the broken girl who lost her sister years ago. She was a storm gathering strength. I have to find her, she said the next morning, voice cold and determined. Emily's alive. She needs me, and Mom needs to answer for everything. I nodded, but inside I was scared. Scared of what we might find. Scared for Katie. And scared for what this would do to the family. We started with the few clues Emily had left behind. The old Gmail account. Some vague mentions of upstate. And a handful of contacts Katie didn't recognize. Hours turned into days as we tracked down leads. One old friend of Emily's sent a brief message. She's alive, yeah, but don't come looking. It's dangerous. Katie's jaw tightened. Dangerous how? No answer. Then, last night we found a tiny cabin address tied to Emily. Way out in the woods, near the state line. Tomorrow, Katie said. We're going there. I'm torn. Part of me wants to stop this before it gets worse. The other part knows there's no turning back now. Because this isn't just about Emily anymore. It's about everything we were told and everything we were lied to about. The drive to the cabin felt like crossing into another world. The city gave way to endless trees, winding roads, and silence. Deep and heavy. Katie barely spoke. Her eyes were fixed on the road ahead, but I could see the tension in her jaw. We pulled up to a small, weathered cabin with peeling paint and a rusted mailbox. No car in the driveway. Katie got out and walked to the front door. I followed behind. She knocked once, twice. No answer. Then, quietly, she called out, Emily? It's me, Katie. The door creaked open slowly. Standing there was a woman, older than the girl I'd seen in Portland, but unmistakably Emily. Same green eyes, same faint scar above her eyebrow. She looked shocked. Katie, the reunion was messy, awkward, and full of tears. Emily told us everything. She had escaped an abusive home, but it wasn't just Sandra who kept her silent. It was the whole family. Threats, manipulation, fear. She had faked her death to survive. And now, after years in hiding, she was ready to face the past. But she warned, if Mom finds out I'm here, she won't stop until she destroys us both. Katie grabbed Emily's hands. We'll face it together. No more running. We barely had time to breathe before Sandra showed up. It was late afternoon when a black SUV pulled up the dirt road, dust kicking up behind it. Katie and Emily tensed instantly. The door slammed, and there she was, Sandra Reynolds, looking as flawless and cold as ever, but with eyes like steel. "Emily," she said, voice smooth but dripping with menace. "I see you're alive. I was starting to think you had forgotten how to be my daughter." Emily stood her ground, voice steady but quiet. "I'm not your daughter anymore." Sandra smiled thinly. "You belong to this family whether you like it or not, and you will stay silent." Katie stepped forward. "No more secrets, Mom. It's over." Sandra's smile vanished. "You don't know what you're doing." She turned and left, but her threat hung in the air. The sisters looked at each other. "This isn't over," Emily said. "No," Katie agreed. "But we are done hiding." After Sandra stormed off, the air between Katie and Emily felt charged, like something had finally snapped. Emily began to open up about the years in hiding. Mom's control was worse than I imagined. She spread lies, cut me off from anyone who tried to help. When I threatened to expose Dad, she said she'd destroy me. Katie's hands trembled as she listened. "Why didn't you ever try to come back sooner?" Emily looked away. "I was scared you'd believe her instead of me. I thought I'd lose you forever." I sat quietly, watching two sisters, torn apart by lies and pain, finally reconnecting. "We need to tell someone," Katie said firmly. "No more silence." Emily nodded. "I'm ready." But the past doesn't stay buried for long. That night, we found an anonymous note slipped under the motel door. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." The anonymous note shook us all. We knew this wasn't just an empty threat. Sandra had allies, people who wanted to keep the past buried. Katie and Emily were scared but more determined than ever. We reached out to a private investigator, hoping to find evidence strong enough to confront Sandra and protect the sisters. Days later, the PI sent a thick envelope filled with documents. Old police reports, hospital records, and even secret recordings from family counseling sessions. The truth was worse than we imagined. There were records of abuse, of threats made to Emily by their father, and ominous mentions of Sandra's involvement in covering it up. This was no longer just a family dispute. It was a criminal case waiting to explode. Katie looked at me and whispered, "I don't know if I'm ready for this." But I knew we had no choice. The confrontation came faster than we expected. Armed with the evidence, Katie and Emily faced Sandra and their father at a mediation meeting. Sandra's mask cracked. The truth spilled out. Years of manipulation, abuse, and lies. Neighbors, relatives, even the police had suspected something, but no one dared to act. The family that once seemed perfect was anything but. At the end of it all, Katie looked at me and said, "You did the right thing telling me. I had to know." So, AITA? Was I wrong to tell my wife the truth, knowing it would shatter her world? Or was keeping her in the dark the real cruelty? I found out my wife's sister, believed dead for years, was alive and hiding from an abusive family. I told my wife and it blew everything apart. Now the family secrets are out, but was I the asshole for revealing the truth?